Let's talk about young people, the so-called lazy generation, always accused of entitlement and too much avocado toast. You've heard the jokes, right? Back in my day, we worked harder. Kids these days just want to nap and scroll. But what if we're missing the real story? But what if they're not lazy? What if they're just exhausted? Not just tired from a late night, but worn down by a relentless, grinding pace that never lets up. Across the globe, young people are quietly stepping off the hamster wheel. They're not making a scene, they're just quietly opting out, one by one. They're looking at the endless race for success and saying, you know what, I think I'll just not. Not because they don't care, but because the finish line keeps moving further away. This isn't rebellion, it's deep, systemic exhaustion. It's the kind of tired that seeps into your bones that makes even small tasks feel overwhelming. It's not about doing nothing forever. It's about questioning the value of doing everything for a system that gives little back. Why pour your energy into a game where the rules keep changing and the rewards keep shrinking? The old deal, work hard, get a good job, buy a house, now feels like a fantasy. For many, even renting a decent apartment feels out of reach. Many juggle multiple jobs, but the finish line keeps moving. The promise of stability is replaced by endless side hustles and gig work, just to make ends meet. Stepping back isn't laziness, it's a logical response to a rigged game. When the odds are stacked against you, sometimes the bravest thing is to stop playing by the old rules. The pressure to hustle, build a brand, and stay relevant never stops. Social media turns every moment into a performance, every hobby into a potential side gig. After a while, the human spirit starts to fray. Anxiety, depression, and burnout are becoming the new normal. Choosing rest over the rat race is starting to look like self-preservation, not giving up. It's a way to reclaim a little peace in a world that demands constant motion. This isn't weakness, it's a generation asked to carry too much, finally putting the load down to breathe. They're finding strength in vulnerability and in saying enough. Before we label them, maybe we should look at the circumstances. The world they've inherited is not the one their parents promised. The lazy youth narrative is easy, but the truth is more complicated and more concerning. It's a story of resilience in the face of impossible odds. This is the great exhaustion, a symptom of broken promises and a system that's failing its young. And maybe, just maybe, it's time we started listening to what they're really saying. In China, they call it Tang Ping, lying flat. It's more than just a trend, it's a quiet, powerful statement from a generation that feels squeezed by impossible expectations. Lying flat means opting out of the relentless grind, refusing to be swept up in the race for status and security that seems increasingly out of reach. It's a quiet refusal to chase the 996 work culture, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., 6 days a week. A schedule that leaves little room for rest, relationships, or personal growth. Lying flat is about doing the bare minimum, rejecting the pressure to marry early, buy a house, or climb the career ladder at any cost. It's a way of saying, I won't play by rules that don't serve me. It's a silent rebellion against the demand to succeed at all costs. A protest that doesn't involve shouting in the streets, but quietly stepping away. But it's not just China. In Japan, some call it shokuba sabusu zangyo, or service overtime, working extra hours without pay. In the West, we have quiet quitting. Quiet quitting isn't about walking out the door, it's about drawing a line, doing your job, but not letting it consume your life. You work your hours, answer no late-night emails, and stop volunteering for extra projects that go unrewarded. You reclaim your evenings, your weekends, your peace of mind. It's about setting boundaries and reclaiming your life from corporate culture. A culture that often expects gratitude for overwork and underpay. These aren't calls for anarchy or laziness. They're acts of self-respect, born from burnout, anxiety, and the realization that endless hustle doesn't guarantee happiness. People are rejecting the idea that their worth is tied to productivity, that their value depends on how much they can sacrifice for work. They're pushing back against being told to be grateful for jobs that demand too much and give too little. They're talking openly about mental health, fair pay, and the right to a life outside work. Whether it's Tangping, quiet quitting, or similar trends in Japan and South Korea, the message is the same. Enough is enough. Young people see the traditional path to success as a raw deal, one where the finish line keeps moving and the rewards keep shrinking. They're being asked to sacrifice mental health, relationships, and happiness for rewards that keep slipping away. Skyrocketing housing prices, stagnant wages, and job insecurity. In their own quiet ways, they're saying, "No, thank you." They're choosing rest, connection, and self-worth over endless striving. Redrawing the boundaries between work and life isn't just an act of defiance, it's an act of hope. It should be celebrated, not condemned. Let's do the math. The old promise, work hard, get ahead, has become a distant dream for many young people today. Wages have barely budged in years, while the cost of just about everything, housing, education, healthcare, keeps climbing higher and higher. Imagine graduating from university already tens of thousands of dollars in debt, only to find that entry-level jobs barely cover rent, let alone savings or a future. In cities like Shanghai, Tokyo, or Seoul, even a tiny apartment can eat up most of a paycheck. Many young adults are forced to live with their parents well into their 30s, not out of choice, but out of necessity. The finish line, owning a home, starting a family, achieving stability, seems to move further away with every passing year. Disengagement isn't about laziness or lack of ambition. It's a rational response to a system where the odds are stacked against you, and the game feels impossible to win. Now add social media to the mix. It's not just a distraction. It's a daily immersion in other people's curated realities. Young people are bombarded with highlight reels of perfect vacations, designer homes, and flawless bodies, lives they can't afford, and sometimes can't even imagine for themselves. Every swipe is a reminder of what they don't have. The pressure to perform success online is relentless. It's not enough to just live your life. You have to document it, polish it, and present it as something extraordinary. Your life becomes a brand, and it's exhausting. The line between who you are and who you pretend to be online starts to blur. This constant comparison leads to comparison fatigue, a deep sense of inadequacy next to filtered fantasies. Even achievements start to feel small when measured against someone else's highlight reel. The gap between reality and expectation grows wider. Even in a room full of people, it's easy to feel alone, like everyone else is living a better life somewhere else. For some, the only escape is to log off, literally and figuratively. Turning off notifications, deleting apps, or even taking digital detoxes becomes a survival strategy. Opting out becomes a way to protect their peace of mind. In a world obsessed with appearances, sometimes the bravest thing you can do is simply unplug and be present in your own imperfect life. Burnout isn't just tiredness. It's a deep, all-consuming exhaustion that seeps into your body, your mind, and even your sense of self. It's waking up already weary, feeling like you're running on empty before the day even begins. The World Health Organization now calls burnout an occupational phenomenon, a global issue that's no longer just a personal struggle, but a public health concern. For young people, the seeds of burnout are planted early. Crammed school schedules, relentless exams, and the pressure to outperform peers. By the time they reach the workplace, the stress has only multiplied. Many new graduates enter their first jobs already depleted, running on fumes. The excitement of starting a career quickly fades under the weight of endless deadlines, unpaid overtime, and the fear of falling behind. The human brain isn't built for this kind of relentless, high-stakes pressure. Eventually, something gives. Motivation, focus, even hope itself can start to crack. Burnout warps your relationship with the future. Ambition, once a driving force, now feels impossible. When you're just trying to survive the day, dreams for tomorrow fade into the background. Disengagement isn't laziness, it's a survival mechanism. When your brain puts up a closed sign, it's a forced shutdown, a desperate attempt to protect what little energy you have left. Unless we start treating burnout as a systemic crisis, one that demands real change in schools, workplaces, and society, more and more young people will simply check out, not because they want to, but because they have no other choice. When millions of young people across China, Japan, and beyond begin to disengage from society, it's not just a coincidence, it's a glaring signal that something fundamental in the system is broken. This isn't a minor trend, it's a global phenomenon, echoing from bustling city streets to quiet bedrooms. The old social contract, work hard, get stability, now feels hollow and outdated. For many, years of relentless studying and job hunting lead only to precarious work, stagnant wages, and a sense of betrayal. Young people see wealth concentrated at the very top, while the majority struggle to get by. They watch as politics seem unresponsive to their needs, and the planet faces crisis after crisis. The gap between what's promised and what's possible grows wider every year. This isn't apathy. It's the result of caring deeply about their futures, their families, their world, and feeling so powerless that withdrawal becomes a form of self-protection. When hope feels out of reach, stepping back is a way to survive. Lying flat isn't just giving up. It's a quiet, powerful political statement. It says the current definition of success is not only unattainable for most, but also undesirable. Why chase a dream that leads only to exhaustion? Instead of blaming youth for their so-called laziness, we should be asking, what's wrong with the system that makes so many want to opt out? What are we missing in our schools, our workplaces, our policies? Disengagement is feedback, loud and clear. Our economic models breed inequality, our work cultures fuel burnout, and our societies often ignore the warning signs until it's too late. These young people are the canaries in the coal mine, warning us that the air is toxic. Their withdrawal is not just a personal choice, it's a collective alarm, urging us to rethink what kind of future we're building, and for whom. So what now? The worst response is to tell young people to try harder. That advice ignores the reality. Most are already pushing themselves to the limit, juggling multiple jobs, side hustles, and relentless expectations from family and society. The solution isn't fixing individuals, it's fixing the systems that break them. When the rules of the game are rigged, telling people to play harder just leads to burnout. We need living wages, affordable housing, accessible health care, and education without lifelong debt. Imagine a world where a young person doesn't have to choose between paying rent and buying groceries, or where getting sick doesn't mean financial disaster. If you want young people to invest in the system must offer a real stake in the future. That means opportunities for growth, recognition, and the chance to build a life, not just survive. We must redefine our relationship with work, ditch toxic hustle culture, value rest, and protect workers' rights. Rest isn't laziness, it's essential for creativity, health, and happiness. A job should be part of a life, not the whole thing. People deserve time for family, friends, hobbies, and personal growth, things that make life meaningful. Re-engaging youth isn't about tricking them back onto the hamster wheel. It's about making sure the wheel leads somewhere worth going. It's about building a fairer, more humane society. One where everyone has a voice, and collective action leads to real improvements. Hard work should lead to a secure, fulfilling life, not just exhaustion. When effort is rewarded, hope returns. This will require big structural changes, policy shifts, corporate accountability, and a cultural reset on what success really means. The alternative? Watching a generation full of potential decide to lie flat and wait it out. That's not just a loss for them, it's a loss for all of us. They deserve better. We all do. The future depends on it.